So, here I am at the Nicholsville Cemetery. There you have the quintessential cedar tree and crepe myrtle. And just behind that little grove of trees, there's the marker, which you probably can't read just yet, but that says Tucker on it. So our grandmother and grandfather are buried there, and directly to their right, the daughter Lucille, mother's sister, and her husband. Now, it seems very strange that now, standing here, being who I am today, that we were never particularly curious about other relations that would have been buried here. You see, we've clearly already had Decoration Day, and some of the newer graves have lots of flowers on them. See a car passing there, and one of the more fabulous graves. I see lots of last names on some of these tombstones that were names my mother mentioned often, and some of them the names of people we came down here to visit when I was a little girl. These three here in the bushes I thought might be part of our extended family, but I can't really read what they say. I think they say Hawk. But here you see the Dix enclosure. I don't really know where Tuck came from, if he was from around these parts, but we do know that Mama, of course, was. And there you see Bertha Dix and Robert B. Tucker, whose name's written in the Book of Life, and that they are together forever. I'm sure that was probably a little disturbing to Tuck, because he didn't seem particularly excited sometimes about being with Mama. Now here is another small gravestone for someone named Jesse Hawk. And so the Hawks were all around the Dix plot here, I see. Interestingly, I see some Nichols over in there. Our Aunt Tiny, of course, married a Nichols, but I don't know if Mac's people were from down here. I tend to believe they were not. And I was a little bit surprised here to see the graves of our mother's father and mother's mother. So these would be our great-grandparents on the maternal side. Her name, Lucy Dix, died in 1914, and his name, T.C. Dix, born August 3rd, 1852, died January 29, 1929. Our mother would surely have known her grandparents. She would have been about 9 or 10 at that time. And Bertha, Miss Bertha, our great mama, was born in 1891, died in 1967, so she'd have been 67, 76 when she died. Our Tuck, 1894 to 1975, so he would have been 81 when he died. We of course, were around for that. You see, Lucille's grave, born in 1923, died in 1969, 20, 30, 40, 56, 45 years old. I remember going with Mother to Mobile to the hospital and being with Lucille in her last moments. I do not remember her funeral, but certainly we would have come, Mother and Daddy and I, anyhow. And here is interesting, a little infant daughter of Lucy and T.C., who died in 1883, lived less than a month. She would have been born 83 to 91, 7 or 8 years before our mama was born. And so, survey here the other graves as I walk back toward the car. Y'all remember we came here when Mother died and brought a few of her ashes to be put in this place. I had the thought as I was walking back that, maybe we should have put a little tombstone here for our mother, but on the other hand, I have a sense that maybe she was just as glad to be buried somewhere else. She didn't speak of any particular endearing love for this place, although she sure did show the duty. She came here often. So, going back over here, as we're going out, I saw some other Dicks. So I'm thinking, well, how about that? That's interesting. Also, interesting, you guys know our mother was married first to a Walker. James, you remember, of course, that. And don't know, I think your daddy's people, Bo, were Tuscaloosa-based people, maybe, but here we see someone who was a Walker, a mother and a wife, Eugenia Walker. And then going on down, there were a few Dicks down here as well, which is kind of cool. I don't know whether they had anything to do with us, but I'm guessing that they did. Didn't see any other Tuckers in here except our Tuck. Lots of Dunns, Etheridges, Langleys, names I remember hearing Mother talk about, going to visit. I remember the Lofton family. Now see, this is interesting. Here is Kirby Dix, born 1880, died 1947. And Annie Mae Dix, and I do remember my mother speaking of Annie Mae. She died on my birthday in 1957. Annie Mae Dix. She was a mother, and it says he was a father. She was born in 1882. So that's a little young. Maybe he was the younger brother of our Lucy Dix, because as you recall, Lucy had a baby in 1883 who died. And there oversee Robert Hasty. I definitely remember all the Hasties. So I have a sense we were somehow kin to the Hasties, but unfortunately I don't have any. I think it might be that Tuck's teeny tiny little sister, who was very small, who we have a couple of pictures of, seems like she was a Hasty. So she must have been a Tucker who married a Hasty, maybe. I just, of course, have no way of knowing. So I'll head on back to the car now and move to the next place.